More than just the headlines. WFLA. The following is a paid program. The views expressed are those of the host and callers and not those of News Radio 102.5, its management, or advertisers.
Welcome to You Have Power Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark. You Have Power is your opportunity to get answers to your legal questions. To be a part of today's program, call 407-916-674-1025 or toll free at 855-545-1025. The lines are now open. And now, here's your host, Orlando's drive time attorney, Justin Clark.
Wow, moving up in the world, Tom Benson. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Happy Friday night to you. You're listening to me, Justin Clark, Behind the Law, right here on News Radio 102.5. Hope you're not stuck in traffic. Hope you have a fantastic weekend planned. If you have any legal questions, I want you to go ahead and give us a call. 321-282-1055. The website, as always, is www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. Or follow me on Twitter at ATTY Justin Clark. Now, Tom, I was here with you last week. A regular Friday show like we do every single week. We did it, had a great show, had a lot of callers, helped a lot of people out.
That's right.
And we left here and I said, bye, Tom. I'll see you next week. Can't wait to see you next week. Oh, my gosh.
What happened?
What a week we have had here in the City Beautiful. Been absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like this, Tom. So we got off the air last Friday, 7 p.m. I go home. Have a little dinner, go to bed, wake up about 5 a.m. to what? Well, it's a shooting.
Yeah.
At a theater right on Bumby that we all know. And poor Christina Grimmie shot and killed right here in our town. Right here in our town of Orlando, Florida. Some crazy lunatic comes over from the West Coast and shoots and kills this poor, young, attractive, talented young lady.
He had an obsession with her.
You can't believe it. You wake up, you're like, I can't believe. I used to go get coffee. In fact, I had gotten coffee that morning at this little coffee shop right across the street from that place. I saw it, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, all eyes are now on Orlando. You go to TMZ, it's talking about a shooting in Orlando. Poor, young, talented singer shot and killed right here in our town. And then, you feel bad. You read up on the news. All the local news people are covering the story, some national coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go to bed Saturday night.
And, of course, we all go to bed wondering what really happened with her and what were the circumstances.
Still wondering about what happened. This lunatic comes over.
Sure.
How'd he get in?
Yeah.
How'd he shoot her? What a hero the brother was. But all happening right here. We go to bed sad Saturday because no one wants to see that happen to anyone, let alone right here in our own backyard.
Sure.
Have a little dinner Saturday night. Leave the TV on news, on Channel 2 or something like that. Wake up at about 5 a.m. because the TV was still left on. Wake up about 5 a.m. There's a shooting at a nightclub in Orlando right here in our own backyard.
At that time, no other details were known.
And you're like, wow, another shooting. Whoa, how crazy. You think maybe a couple people are hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe someone is dead. Maybe it's a little domestic dispute. Don't know what's going on. Keep your eyes peeled to the TV, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And about 7 a.m., if you're like me, at about 7 a.m., this is the time you're waking up your wife or your husband or your family to say, look, something crazy is going on here.
Yeah.
This is out of control. I don't know what's going on. And then finally, the mayor, who, by the way, did a fantastic job.
Absolutely. I was impressed.
I sent Mayor Dyer. And by the way, I don't know if it was an R or D before his name. I wasn't thinking that way. R.D. I didn't care. I thought he did great. I sent him a message and I said, you reminded me of more of a president than a mayor when I watched you. I certainly didn't get that same warm, fuzzy feeling when the governor talked. But when I saw Mayor Dyer, it gave me a sense of comfort. But then, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., now you realize something's going on. And then they make the announcement that we might have up to 20 people.
That's right.
Killed. And you're like, oh, my God. Yeah. I can't, but this is unbelievable. Right here in our own backyard, maybe 20 people have been killed at this nightclub. People out having a good time. Some monster from down south of us comes up and kills maybe 20 people. Then
about 9 a.m. is when I went down to the press center down on Orange Avenue. All the media were there with their cameras running, people recording things. The mayor steps up to the microphone and gives us a devastating news.
So the press conference goes like this. It's Mayor Dyer starts off, and he says, we're We're going to change the number. Hate to tell you, but it's 50. And you even hear a reporter saying, Mayor, you mean 50? Did you hear that? You mean 50?
There were audible gasps from the press area. Like, you're kidding.
So right here in our own town, 50 people. Let's say 49, of course.
Yeah.
People still in critical condition as we sit here today.
Oh, yeah.
Now, almost a week later. People are out just trying to have a good time, blow off steam, just like regular people do, especially young people. They're out at the bar having a good time, and next thing you know, 49 of our friends, our loved ones are dead right here in our own town, and I can't believe it. And we're going to have Dwight Bain. You know Dwight Bain. He's my shrink. He's the shrink to the stars. He's really the most well-known counselor, certainly in this town, but nationwide, a well-known guy. You've seen him on every radio show in town, every TV show. I've been following him. He does a great job, but he's also a dear friend to me, dear friend to my family. And as I told you before, Tom, I believe, I have a almost 4-year-old daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And were it not for Dwight Bain, her mother and I would not be together. I can really say that, and Pilar doesn't mind if I say it, because Dwight means so much to her as well. Because I was like, look, we can't deal with each other. Let's just be done here. But talking to Dwight, he kept us together, and I'm forever grateful. And I know a little almost 4-year-old at home who is certainly maybe doesn't understand how grateful she is right now, but
someday she will.
Someday she's going to be incredibly grateful to a man named Dwight Bain as well. And he's going to be calling in. We're going to talk about, after seeing these tragedies that happen right here in our own backyard, it has more of an effect on you when it happens here. It does. I don't care what anyone says. The fact that it happened right here, as we live every day, at a place we drive by every day.
And then Tuesday, there was a third tragedy.
And we're going to get to that in a minute, too.
Okay.
Because you know how I feel about alligators. People who are not native to Florida, I'm telling you, alligators are weird. It's not just a natural thing jumping in these lakes with these alligators. I was in Tennessee on vacation swimming in a lake. You know why I did that, Tom? You know why I jumped in the lake in Tennessee?
You wanted to see some snakes?
No. They're not even really any snakes because there's no alligators.
Oh. Okay.
I have no problem swimming in a lake in Tennessee. But you native Floridians who have no problem jumping in these lakes with them brain-eating amoeba and alligators, I don't understand this. I think it doesn't make any sense to me.
Sure.
But I get it. It's because I'm not necessarily from here. I've only been here maybe 9 years now, but I'm still not jumping in these lakes with these alligators in this dark water.
Smart man.
Oh, no, go ahead. Here's what you're going to say, Tom. Tom, you're about to say, oh, don't worry. They're more scared of you than you are of them. Is that what you're going to try to tell me?
No, I was going to say you're a smart man, but you're right. That's what a lot of people will say. They're more afraid of you than you are of them.
And when you tell me that, I can assure you you're lying, because I assure you I'm more scared of them than they are of me.
All the more reason why they're going to strike out at you first before you strike out at them.
But and then you said it. At the Grand Floridian. Anyone who's been to Disney, that's one of the nice hotels that train thing runs right through. What's that train thing called?
The monorail.
The monorail.
Yeah.
At $600 a night because the monorail goes through there. I understand. I've paid it too because it is cool being right there where the monorail is. At their Grand Floridian with that beautiful restaurant upstairs and this nice couple with their 2 kids from Nebraska.
Yeah.
Happened to have the 2-year-old put the toes in the water, and what happens? An alligator attack at Walt Disney World. If we didn't have enough going on this week, it's bound to be national news because the media's already here.
Sure. They just moved from one location to another for that day.
I mean, when Grimmy was killed last Friday night, some of the national press were already here.
The radar went on. Yep.
So they were already migrating here. And then, boom, the Pulse nightclub thing. And then, boom, alligator attack at Disney World. And let's make no mistake. The fact that it happened at Disney World to a kid makes it all the difference, too.
I was at the press conference Sunday, the first one, about 9:30 or so. By the time they had the next press conference, not the next, but the first one for Monday at 7:30, double the media.
What a week,
yeah,
guys, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad that you could be here and spend a little time with me. We're going to get through this together. Again, we're going to have Dwight Bain calling in to talk about how to talk to your children, because your kids have seen the media as well. They've seen all of this coverage. We're going to talk about how it affects your kids and how to talk to your kids about these things that have been going on in this town that have really just blown my mind. And if you want to call in, by all means, this is a legal show. but we're going to be talking about our town. But if you have a question, 321-282-1055. The website is www.youhavepower.com. That is youhavepower.com. Or follow me on Twitter at ATTY Justin Clark. And in addition to Dwight Bain, I'm also going to have one of my good friends, the owner of I Know We Insurance Company, Ray Powers, in here as well. Because I have a real question. As a business owner myself, Tom, people keep saying they're going to rebuild Pulse nightclub or whatever they're going to do. And I think that's probably not going to happen.
Well, at least not on that location. I'm sure they're going to find another location if they can make it happen.
But as a business owner myself, I wonder, what sort of insurance policy do you have that's going to cover something like that? Or look at the Dunkin' Donuts next door, or the other businesses right around there. I believe it was a car detailing shop next door where the guy was parked.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they doing? I mean, their revenue went from whatever it was to zero. I mean, they can't even go to their own business, right?
There's several fast food places down there on Orange Street in that block.
So I want to talk about insurance. And if you're a business owner, what kind of insurance do you need in a situation like this? And we're going to talk about that because I really have that question in my mind, and I don't necessarily know the answer to it. So Ray Powers from I Know We Insurance is going to be in here, and if you have insurance questions, you can give them a call at 855-I-KNOW-WE. The website is www.iknowwe.com. But back to this alligator attack for a second, okay?
Yeah.
Because, again, like I told you, I have an almost 4-year-old named Sophia, and I'm scared to death of alligators myself.
Oh, sure.
But can you imagine being there on holiday? Imagine being there on a vacation with your family and witnessing that. What do you do?
That would be the last thing you'd expect to happen at the happiest place on earth, at Disney.
Now, let's say that happens. And, Tom, you might not know the answer to this, but Ray Powers, I know, will, the owner of I Know We Insurance, he's going to know the answer. But let's say you do find yourself in that position, or even if it's a friend you see getting attacked by an alligator.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? I mean, do you try to pull them out? Do you jump on the alligator? I mean, what do you do? Do you have any idea what the right thing to do would be?
Just panic instinct will set in, and that would be the only thing you really can do.
Now, I'm going to bring in Ray Powers for this question right now. Ray, first of all, welcome to the program. I don't think you've ever been here live. I know you've called in to answer our insurance questions before, but welcome here live.
Hey, I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Justin.
All right. So, Ray, I know you're from Lake County, buddy.
Yes.
Okay. Lake County is like the Tennessee of Florida, I would say. I've spent a lot of time in Tennessee, so I can say that. But you've been around alligators a lot. I've seen pictures of you enjoying alligator meat, I'm pretty sure. Let's say you do have a friend, or, God forbid, a child being attacked by an alligator. What do you do? I'm told you should jump on top of them. What do you think? Any idea?
Yes.
Let's say you're not packing, you know?
Right. Unfortunately, you have to jump on. You try to go for soft spots, poke him in the eyes, try to get him to release the child. But the biggest problem with alligators is people feeding them. And where that one was is probably a pretty good bet that somebody staying there had been feeding the gators. And but it's awfully difficult to get one to open its mouth once it's clamped down. You almost can't. You have to get it to release it. But you got to keep him from taking the child out in the deep water, which is what he did. And he probably turned it loose because they don't, as a rule, want people. So the reason the child was found the way it was is the gator knew it had made a mistake, but it didn't change the outcome. But yeah, you've got to aggressively stop them from what they're doing.
Now, from a legal perspective, there's no doubt in my mind there will be some type of lawsuit, although I imagine Disney, PR-wise, is going to probably stroke a pretty big check to try to avoid that from happening.
They're going to settle, sure.
But, like anything else, in retrospect, I think it's going to probably create them putting more signs up and making it a little bit more of a safe place, right? I mean, look, the kid had his toe in the water. I mean, that's my understanding is that maybe his whole foot was in the water, but not very much.
They didn't have signs, from what I
and
understand.
they need to have more signs. But I mean, unbelievable! What an absolute tragic week here. But again, I'm glad I could spend a little time with you guys, and I'm absolutely more than thrilled to welcome my other guest, Dwight Bain. Dwight, buddy, how are you, my friend? Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for coming on.
Well, it's been a long week, Justin, but we all are doing what we can to be able to make Orlando a little better place.
We wake up Saturday morning, and you learn about this poor singer who's shot.
Yeah, Christina, sure.
And I almost feel bad for her family because that was going to be a huge story. And then what happened the next day? So I almost feel bad for her family. And Dwight, when I've found myself in tragic sort of situations, the outpouring of support, whenever you've lost a loved one or had a tragic event in your life, the outpouring of support for some reason makes you feel better. Am I right or wrong in that assumption?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because I want you to know I spoke with a good friend of Christina's family. Her funeral's tomorrow, and they said, we feel like our daughter has been forgotten.
Yeah.
That her life, has just been forgotten. And I want you to know every single one of these crisis events, and the people who lost a loved one this week to cancer or heart disease, the people who had a son or daughter commit suicide. I mean, there's a lot of crisis, but Orlando has been in the crosshairs of 3 major critical incidents, and it's only been 6 days. And so when I look at this whole dynamic, this is having a huge ripple effect on our community. And every single one of those crisis events is real to the person that lost a coworker, to the person that lost a son or daughter, to the people at Walt Disney World on vacation who saw all of these things happening with a dad fighting with an alligator to try to save his son. Each of these critical incidents has a ripple of trauma, and that's why we have to take bold action to stabilize it to prevent bigger problems.
For what it's worth, I don't know if any of the Grimmy family are listening on iHeart or here, but I want you guys to know I've been thinking about you this whole time as well. I know that there was a very tragic event the next day, but I just hope her family knows that right here we're thinking about her as well. She was just an absolutely adorable, talented young lady, and I just can't believe this madman came over from the West Coast to do that. But, Dwight, then, we wake up the next day, and then 20 people are dead. Now 50 people are dead, 49 victims. And I have Sophia, Dwight, my almost 4-year-old daughter. She sees this on the news as well. I mean, do I lie to her? How do you deal with children who see this? I mean, they're not dumb. They know what is going on. How do you deal with kids in events like this?
It's a really good question because, Justin, every child is impacted. Normal in Orlando a week ago was peaceful and calm, and now we're dealing with a whole new normal dynamic. We've been the target of a terrorist attack. And so with a little girl, the age of your daughter, really all we share, some bad things have happened. Mom and dad are here. We're safe, and we love you, and we're going to have a good day. Because small children don't need to know the details. And so as I deal with elementary school-age children, they've started to hear this, kind of the same dynamic. Some bad things have happened. Tell me how you're feeling. Tell me what's going on. With elementary school-age children, we can draw pictures. There's a lot of ways we can process emotion. But, again, I want them hearing this information from mom and dad, not hearing this information from other kids on a playground or at daycare talking about terrorists are coming to, kill and destroy Orlando. With older kids, with teenagers, I want them really processing. And Justin, I'll actually send you a checklist of warning signs for kids by age and life stage, because some kids will need counseling, some won't. But all of us have been impacted by the very normal emotions of trauma. This is the worst traumatic critical incident, and that's just with the shooting at Pulse. But when you add what's happened in our community with a murder-suicide, a high-profile alligator attack against a small child at America's favorite theme park, you have a community that is numb, that is shell-shocked, and we're going to see the rates of alcoholism, suicide, the rates of depression, the rates of domestic violence. We're going to see a lot of bad things go up if we don't take immediate action, and that's why I'm glad we're doing this program to help people take this seriously. These type of traumatic emotions will lead to post-traumatic stress disorder. It will lead to self-destructive behavior without intervention for all age groups.
You got it. Dwight, I have another question, and I hope this is not going too far or getting too deep here, but this show is all about being real. And Dwight, I was telling Tom before how I feel like you saved my family. I don't mind to say, Pilar and I have been to see you a million times, to the point where, were it not for you, Sophia would not have mom and dad in the same house. She would still have mom and dad, but not in the same house. And were it not for you, I promise, guys, were it not for Dwight Bain, my daughter would have two houses, a mom's house and a dad's house. But because of you, we have one house, and I'm forever indebted. And I'm sure you'll get a letter from a beautiful little girl in a couple of years when she kind of gets to know that.
You're going to make me cry.
Well, it's the truth, and I don't mind to say that. But I remember being in your office one time, Dwight, and I'm a believer in God. I really am. I'm a believer in God, but I've said I struggle with exactly how to believe it, because I'll be sitting at a table with my good friend who's Muslim, my good friend who's Jewish, my good friend who's Catholic, and everyone has a little bit of a different belief. So I've sometimes struggled a little bit with exactly what God looks like to me. But here's one thing I've never been able to accept. I've had some people who are hardcore Bible thumpers who have come to me and said, well, God doesn't believe in gay people, or God hates gays. And I've always had a real problem with that, Dwight. And I know that your faith is incredibly important to you. I don't care if this station's a Republican station, and maybe you even believe that still. I believe that what happened has really even gotten some people who might have had that belief back to our team of straight people who believe gay people can do whatever they want. But does God hate gays, Dwight?
Nope. God loves people because there's 50 funerals in Central Florida, 51 because Christina's funeral is in New Jersey. And when I start to look at what's happening, God, the Bible tells us, laid down his own son's life because of his love for people. God is love, #LoveOrlando. And so what's happened because of a specific attack against the GLBTQ community, we've seen that some people who before may have listened to rhetoric on a talk show, but they never really thought about it. But every parent who is listening right now, I wish they could go to some of the funerals. The memorial services started yesterday when President Obama was here, to be able to see this isn't about a political cause, making a political statement. This isn't about gun control. This isn't about immigration. This is about moms and dads who are burying their kids, who just went to a club to dance and have fun. That was a safe place, and that now is the site of the worst single shooting in the history of the United States. And so when people say, does God hate? No, God loves people. Now, I can tell you, because they're already in town, there are some hyper-religious groups. I'm not sure that they know God, but they claim to be his spokesman. And I've studied the Bible a lot, and I can tell you that God is love. And so I know there are people listening who are mad at me right now, and that's fine. Because if they're mad, I wish they could come with me to the morgue. I wish they could come with me to some of the people. One of my daughter's best friends was at the club and left at midnight and is dealing with survivor guilt. Mm-hmm. Because that was just a safe place for girls to go because they didn't feel afraid, and some of the other places they do. So God's not mad at a certain population. God loves people, and he sent people like you and me to carry that message to Central Florida, to every community, not just a community that was attacked, but to every community, because it was Latino night. It was an attack in Orlando. He could have gone to a lot of places. So Orlando was attacked on 3 levels, on a cultural level, on a gender level, and also America's favorite city to visit. And so when I look at all of this, I think worst attack means best opportunity for us to show love, God's love, our community love, our love for Orlando, right here, right now, by reaching out to the people that we love and care about, and where we work, and our neighbors, even people maybe you don't know. Start to go to some of the prayer vigils. Get engaged. Get involved. As you do that, here's what's going to happen. Our community is going to heal, and you'll be better for it.
I came to Orlando from Boston, Mass, and spent a lot of time in Knoxville, Tennessee as well. Is it normal that when I see my old towns having vigils there and doing things like lighting the bridges up in rainbow colors and putting Orlando United, things like that, is it weird that it makes me feel good?
No, that's why they're doing it. And because you lived in multiple cities, you know that you've got friends around the country, and all of our friends in different places, they were calling, they were texting, they were tweeting, are you safe? Are you okay? Are your friends safe? Are they okay? This is what community is about. We have common values. Now, do we see things different? Sure. Do we vote different? Sure. But we have common values about our hometown. Our hometown was attacked. Our friends, our neighbors were attacked. And here's what's going to happen in the next few days. You're going to see the very best of people in the next few days, and you're going to see the very worst of people in the next few days. Because what happens after a major attack like this is that the crisis reveals some issues of character. The crisis reveals what's been going on inside of people. And so the people who had hate, the people who are angry, the people who are mad at whatever, it's going to come out. The people who are going through a bankruptcy or a foreclosure, maybe their marriage is in trouble, maybe there's some secret, addiction in their life, that's going to come out. The crisis, gives us a chance to heal, but we've got to take bold action. And that bold action, if we're not dealing with the emotions of anxiety, fear, doubt, weepiness, all that's normal. Extreme anger, all that's normal. But we have to process and get through those emotions. And the best way to do it, here's a key principle for your listeners. If you talk through it, you can get through it. I'll say it again. If you talk through it, you can get through it. And to be able to talk through what's happening, even though it's terrible, reaching out to, maybe a coworker. Maybe you always eat alone, they eat alone, and saying, you know what, this is dumb. We work at the same place. I don't even really know your name. Let's go and let's talk about how are you doing since the attack? How's your family? How's your kids? How are their friends? Just about everybody, particularly in downtown, knows somebody who was either there or somebody who regularly went there, and for whatever reason, they weren't the ones killed. There's still people in the hospital right now. But as we reach out to first responders, it's Father's Day weekend. And I love Father's Day, but they're going to be first responders that can't be with their kids because they're keeping us safe. It's interesting because I'm really close to some journalists locally. And after the terrorist attacks of 9/11, Justin, you couldn't find an American flag. We wanted American flags to wear on our lapels in the newsroom, and you couldn't find an American flag. This one's different. I checked with a couple of florists. You can't find flowers. You can't find flowers because of people saying, I'm so sorry about your loss. I'm so sorry you lost a coworker. I'm so sorry about this. And
Wait, do you have
flowers and peace?
Do you have 5 more minutes, or you got to go?
5 more minutes.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, guys, and we will be right back here with more Dwight Bain, more Justin Clark on News Radio 102.5.
News, weather, traffic. News Radio 102.5 WFLA.
In the WFLA News Center, I'm Mike Stevens. News Radio 102.5 WFLA. The news brought to you by Trustco Bank, Florida's hometown bank. The wife of the Orlando nightclub shooter has gone into seclusion, and federal prosecutors are refusing to say whether she might be charged. The parents of a 2-year-old Nebraska boy killed by an alligator at Walt Disney World say they are devastated by their son's death. Disney says it is now putting up alligator warning signs at the resort. With speculation Senator Marco Rubio will change his mind Monday and run for re-election, St. Pete area Congressman David Jolly says he's dropping out of the race and will instead try to keep former Governor Charlie Crist from getting the seat in the area where Jolly is currently serving. The statewide total of Zika virus cases is up to 188, with 3 new travel-related cases confirmed, 2 in Central Florida. Florida's unemployment rate down again in May, and we added almost 25,000 jobs. All day, every day. News, weather, and traffic on News Radio 102.5 WFLA. I'm Mike Stevens.
Orange Avenue remains closed north and southbound due to a police investigation between Michigan Street and Cayley Street, and Cayley Avenue is also closed between Orange Avenue and Delaney Avenue. We're still seeing a slow ride due to a disabled vehicle stuck in the center lane north on 417 between the Curry Ford Toll Plaza and Curry Ford Road. Also watch for some slow traffic eastbound on the 408 between Tampa Avenue and I-4. If you see traffic problems, call the Safe Touch Security Tip Line at 866-676-8477 from the Traffic Center on Page Carrera.
This report is brought to you by Trustco Bank.
Need a mortgage? Compare and save. Trustco Bank offers a variety of low-cost mortgages that are right for you with friendly personal service that's made Trustco one of the area's top mortgage lenders. Visit TrustcoBank.com for details.
Your hometown bank, Trustco.
Equal housing lender.
Here's your News Radio 102.5 exclusive AccuWeather forecast. Mix of clouds and sun this afternoon. Couple of showers and thunderstorms around. Breezy with a high of 88 to 92. Clouds breaking this evening with a shower or thunderstorm around. Low 74 to 78. It'll be cloudy on Saturday with a few showers and thunderstorms. Breezy with a high of 86 to 90. News, weather, and traffic every 10 minutes in the morning. I'm Holly Holdren. News Radio 102.5 WFLA.
This report is brought to you by Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Own the epic finale of the Hunger Games series, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2, starring Jennifer Lawrence, with over 5 hours of bonus features, now on Blu-ray and digital HD.
This is a Bloomberg Market Minute. Stocks ended lower. The Dow Jones Industrials fell 58 points to 17,675. The Nasdaq closed 44 points lower. The S&P 500 lost 6 points. Apple is appealing a decision by the Intellectual Property Authority in Beijing that the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus infringe on the patent rights of a little-known Chinese phone maker. The agency says Apple may have to end iPhone sales in the Chinese capital. A potential safety issue with some older model Toyota sport utility vehicles has been called to the attention of the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The agency is investigating complaints that the wheels on 2001 and 2002 Sequoias can unexpectedly pull to the right. And Kia issued a recall for some minivans. About 98,000 2006 through 2012 Sedonas that were sold in cold weather states are being recalled for the second time in 4 years. Suspension parts rust when exposed to road salt. Jeff Bellinger, Bloomberg Radio.
Say goodbye to thieves. Say hello to CudaCam by Barracuda Networks, the leader in cloud security and storage solutions. CudaCam is a complete cloud-hosted video surveillance solution that captures high-quality footage when motion is detected. Just plug in one or more CudaCam cameras with no network or camera configuration. Video evidence is automatically encrypted and stored in the Barracuda cloud for secure access from any web browser or mobile device. Visit CudaCam.com to learn why CudaCam is so easy on your wallet, yet so hard to avoid.
Take a test mow today on the John Deere Z535M Z-Track zero-turn mower with the re-engineered Excel Deep Mower Deck to mow faster, better. Because it's not how fast you mow, it's how well you mow fast. Visit your local John Deere dealer today and see why nothing runs like a deer.
For 1,000 possibilities, visit EvergladesFarmEquipment.com or MyJohnDeereDealer.com.
WFLA is available everywhere you want to listen on our free iHeartRadio app. Download it now.
You're listening to You Have Power Behind the Law with attorney Justin Clark. For personalized help with your legal issues, visit youhavepower.com or call 321-282-1055. Now, back in studio with more expert legal advice, here's Justin Clark.
Welcome back, and I would say happy Friday, but we'll just say Good Friday to you. I'm glad you're listening. Glad you could spend a little time with us on what was, the most unbelievably insane week in the history of this town, the town that we live in, the town that we love. But I'm thankful I'm able to get here and talk to you guys a little bit about my thoughts on things, because quite frankly, I think it's a healing process for me to be able to spend a little time with you. But more importantly, I have Dwight Bain, the most well-known counselor in all of this town for sure, probably all the state and nationwide as well, and also my counselor who I trust to help me through whatever tough times we might have as well. And Dwight, I know this has been an incredibly hectic week for you because people reach out to you all the time, whether it's media. I've heard you on a lot of radio shows, on a lot of TV shows, and obviously this has quite an effect on you. But people like you and I, we were survivors, but we weren't there. How about the people who were there but escaped? Maybe they lost a loved one, or maybe they didn't, but there must be some survivor's guilt. How do people deal with that?
Well, it's a really good point, because there is survivor's guilt. There are people who were at the club, or people that normally go to the club. Both of my kids work in the theme park industry, so that's just a regular place to go for parties because it's easy to get in and out of, and it's a fun place. But there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, weren't there. And so now they feel grief for the ones who died, but they're also struggling with why. And I'm glad you raised the question, Justin, because right now there's no answer to why. I know there are journalists who come into town and they'll say, this happened because of guns or because of immigration, or this happened because of this, that, or the other. Those are dumb things to bring up, because in the middle of a crisis, the number one rule, don't make it worse. And asking, why didn't I die, and why did somebody else die? You're not going to answer that question. You're going to make yourself angry or confused or frustrated. Now, here's what you focus on. You cannot answer a why question in a major crisis, but you can answer a what question. All right, so a what question would be, what can I do about it? What can, how question, you could answer that. How can I reach out to a friend in my contact list I haven't talked to all week? Are you safe? Are you okay? Did you lose anybody that you loved? Hey, you know what? Nobody goes through a crisis alone. Come go with us to Orlando City Soccer Saturday night, downtown Orlando. You're not going alone. I'll get you a ticket. Come on, let's go. Nobody goes through the crisis alone, because by focusing on what to do, how to do it now we're healing. If I focus on why did this happen, you're just going to get mad. It's not going to make you better. It's not going to help you heal. It's not going to help Orlando, and you're going to end up frustrated. But if we focus on what can I do next, you can breathe. You can journal. You can call a hotline. You can reach out to EAP. You can reach out to some friends you haven't talked to yet. You can just start checking on people. As people reach out and build a sense of community, Justin, our community will heal faster. And what I don't want to see is that people are going through this alone. They've been scared all week. They didn't go to work, because the survivor's guilt can lead to some very bad self-destructive behavior. And one of the ways to solve that is to say, we can't answer why. I heard this guy on the radio on Justin's program, but we can do something about it. So let's get out and do something. Let's go to a rally. Let's write letters. Let's thank firefighters. Let's, draw pictures to firefighters if you have young kids and drop them off at a fire station. Let's thank cops. Let's go to the hospital and drop off drawings we made for the doctors and the nurses. Thank you. Thank God that you were here. As we take these bold steps, we start to heal. You can't do that by asking why did it happen, but you can change Orlando by doing something about it, and we each can do something about it this weekend.
Dwight, this is Tom, and I have a question for you for people who maybe are not close to the scene at all. They just live in their house in Lake Mary or wherever, and I'm afraid that a lot of people are going to start cocooning. They're going to be afraid to go out. I mean, what advice would you have for them?
It's a good question, Tom. I'm glad you brought it up because I've already talked to people because I said, wow, come go with us to some of the prayer vigils at some of the great churches around town. And, come to the prayer vigil downtown at Dr. Phillips and come to Orlando City. And I mean, several people that I didn't normally think would be afraid. And they said, I'm not going to public place. I'm not going in a crowd. I'm afraid. So listen to the word terrorist attack, right? They want to terrorize. I'm not even going to mention this guy's name because I agree with Anderson Cooper. He doesn't have a name. I'm not going to see his face on any media. I love that Anderson Cooper from CNN said, we're not going to honor this guy anymore. He's no longer as famous. He doesn't exist. A bad guy came and killed some wonderful people who were just trying to have a good night. And by being able to say, if we stay afraid in our homes and we don't go to Publix, if we stay afraid in our homes and we don't go to Lake Eola and walk around, if we stay afraid in our homes and we don't go to the beach this weekend or the parks, the terrorists won.
Yeah.
Terrorists won. Terrorists wanted to terrorize, and one of the ways to move past that. Now, to the people who are really scared that have maybe panic, go with a friend. Ask somebody to go with you. You know what? Let's just start small. Let's go to Starbucks. We'll hang out. Let's go get a cup of coffee, maybe walk around the mall. Cocooning at home is not going to make you better, and it can lead to depression, self-destructive behavior, especially, I have to say, that people are drinking, if they're medicating with substances, it'll take you to dark places. Find a friend, walk, breathe, get involved. As you're doing things, you'll start to heal through this.
Very good. Good instincts. Good advice there.
Dwight, my brother, I know you got a roll. I really appreciate you coming on so much. And how do people reach you, Dwight? How do they follow you on Twitter? How do people reach out to you?
So they can go to DwightBain.com. It's just my name, DWIGHTBAIN.com. DwightBain.com, or they can follow me on Twitter at Dwight Bain, Instagram at Dwight Bain, Facebook, Dwight Bain, all that. I'm posting different things on social media, and I've also sent some things over to Pilar, and Justin, you guys can put it up on your website. My goal right now, I'm writing for different news stations, and I'm writing for different psychological organizations, but let's get information of practical how-to. We're day 6 after one of the worst terrorist attacks, worst community disasters because of the 2 other disasters, and in less than a 7-day period of time. We have to help each other. We have to get information. This morning I was talking to over 100 local pastors in the faith community of all backgrounds and all communities across Central Florida. Let's get people the tools, the resources, and Justin, you've got that information. DwightBain.com's got that information. Channel 9 has that information. But together, I know this, as we're sharing information, practical coping skills, as you're even just putting that out from your computer, handing it to a friend and say, let's go do this. Let's go do 2 or 3 of these things that Bain said we should do. As we do that, people start to heal. You and I start to heal. Even just having this conversation, we start to heal, and that's how we get through this one breath, one step at a time.
I love you, brother. Thanks so much. Thanks for all you do for us, okay?
I love you too, friends. Stay safe.
Take care.
Go play with your daughter this weekend.
You got that right. See you later, Dwight.
Happy Father.
All right, Tom. I mean, first of all, we're lucky to have Dwight Bain in this community.
Absolutely.
I know he's been on the show a few times, and he means the world to me. We're lucky to have him in this community, no doubt about it. And
great advice from a steady Eddie. I'll tell you,
you got that right. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that I hope you didn't know anyone down there, but it's been a tough. Whether you did or didn't, it's been an incredibly tough week. But as a business owner, I also wonder what happens to this Pulse nightclub. What happens to the real estate? What happens to the businesses around it? You saw the helicopter shots. You saw that they had the business next door completely blocked off where the maniac's car was. You saw that overhead shot, right, Tom?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I mean, they're out of business.
Yeah.
They can't make any money, and they have employees there that they have payroll. I mean, this really affects affects business as well.
It affects the owners right down to the person who stands at the counter.
You got that right.
Yeah.
And that's why I have my good friend and the owner of I Know We Insurance, Ray Powers. Ray, welcome to the show again. How are you, pal?
I'm good, buddy.
All right, so
Thank you.
from an insurance perspective, you've been doing insurance for business owners for many, many years, I know. But I've never heard of terrorism insurance. I mean, what kind of insurance do you have on a business in case something like this happens, in case a tragedy like this happens where your revenue went from $10,000 a week or $20,000 a week to zero, to squat? Is there any sort of a policy for this?
Actually, there's an endorsement for terrorism coverage that there's probably a lot of business owners that aren't either aware of or haven't added it to their policy, and it's adding a covered peril. It's adding a covered peril, much like hurricane or fire, to your policy. So anything associated with that peril becomes covered as long as you have that endorsement. And actually, that endorsement is relatively inexpensive. I've not seen it more than $300.
Now, if someone's listening right now that they are a business owner, would you mind to do a free review of their policy to see if they have it and see what kind of coverage they have, see if you could even save money on their coverage?
Absolutely.
How do people reach you? It's iknowwe.com, right? Is that what you told me? iknowwe.com or 855-I-KNOW-WE. That's what I have written down here.
That's correct.
But you promise me you will not charge my listeners for a free review of everything.
Absolutely not.
Because I think it's important as a business owner, me too. You know, Tom, you check your Verizon bill once a year or a couple times a year. You call them and say, oh, okay, maybe I'm not using all those text messages or I'm not using enough data. Can I lower my plan? Can I save money?
Yeah.
But as a business owner, I think people forget to review their policies every year and shop these policies around, see what kind of coverage you have. Because from what I've seen, every single time as a business owner, I've done this. Every single year, I make it a point to shop it around. And every single time, no matter what, I've been able to save money by shopping it around. So even if, let's say I shop around with another company and it's cheaper, then I go to my company and say, look, I'm gonna go switch over here to Hartford because they're going to give it cheaper. And then my own company will say, oh, we can match that. And then you're already mad because you're like, well, why didn't you offer it to me before? Why did I have to go shop it around? But as a business owner, I need you, please.
And when you shop around, make sure you check on payment. It's a lot cheaper if you can pay full year as opposed to monthly or semi-annual.
Let's talk about that for a second, Ray. I know a lot of business owners will pay it monthly or whatever. Is there a benefit to try to pay it all at once?
There's usually a significant discount for paying it at once. A lot of times you have to actually finance it with an outside company to pay it monthly. So you have fees and interest on top of that payment, and it's spread out over a year, so if you're not watching it, it adds a lot of money to your policy.
Let's say I'm a business owner and I do want to contact you, 855-I-KNOW-WE or iknowwe.com, and I want to have you review my entire policy to see if I have terrorism coverage, but also to see if you could save me money on my particular business policies. What information do I need to get to you so you can do an adequate review?
The best information for us is actually to see a current declaration page because it gives us an indication of what you have and what you do not have. And there's a misconception that an insurance broker may be able to just shave money off by providing that information. That's not so. The rates are the rates, but it helps us to analyze your coverage. And if you don't have that, we can gather enough information to rate it and tell you where you're at.
So let's say I'm a business owner. I mean, what types of insurance do you really need to make sure that you have as a business owner? Let's just go through them right now. Let's say I don't own the building. I lease space. What types of insurance do I really need to get as an insurance owner?
One is a business owner policy.
What does that do?
That covers the property you have in your business.
So my computers and whatnot.
And, yes,
Okay.
all the property in the business provides you liability exposure. We kind of call it slip and fall, but if someone gets hurt inside your business, then the insurance company defends you and takes care of that.
Okay.
Depending on the number of employees, you should have workers' compensation, and you should have a terrorism endorsement on the policy.
And I think you also mentioned on a previous show cyber attack insurance.
Absolutely. Cyber and that and employment practices liability are those are three endorsements that people tend to overlook. and they're very important. If you take any kind of payment via credit card or you're capturing their information that could be hacked in, then you need cyber liability. Employment practices covers false accusations about that disgruntled employees may come at you with.
All right, let's say that a huge storm rolls through, floods my law firm, ruins all the computers, servers, everything. What covers that, or is it covered?
And that's another one. If it's truly flood, then you would need flood insurance. But if the wind blows the top of your building off and the water destroys everything, that is covered by a standard business owner.
Really? So you have to have a flood policy or endorsement as well?
If it's
That's separate?
If it's rising water, for that to be covered, it has to be flood insurance.
All right, I have a question for you. So, insurance companies in my world are kind of like the big, bad insurance company, so to speak. I feel like they just take our money, build buildings, and then try to pay us as little as they can when something happens.
And then they cancel.
And then they cancel you.
Yeah.
So that's the feeling I have. Now, don't tell anyone I said that, Ray. But as an insurance broker like you, you're kind of on my team, right? Aren't you supposed to be fighting for me as my insurance broker? You're not the insurance company.
No, I'm your advocate when something comes up that needs to be addressed by your insurance policy between you and the insurance company. We're the go-between, and we try to make sure that, they do their job and take care of your claim.
All right, so take this example. Okay, so my building gets flooded. I'm a business owner. Building gets flooded. Servers are all damaged. I'm going to call you and say, hey, good thing I bought insurance because got a flood. You're going to now go to the insurance company and sort of tell them, look, you need to pay this out, right? Isn't that your job to kind of help me as the business owner?
Absolutely.
So you're working for me. You're writing insurance through the big bad insurance company, but you're working for me. If I have a problem, you're going to try to help us through it.
The way I look at it, you're my customer, not the insurance company. So yes.
Back to this terrorism insurance or terrorism endorsement. So the Pulse nightclub, for instance, obviously they're not making any money now, obviously. No doubt about it. And I would have to think they're going to tear the building down. I don't think they're going to build again, but who knows? But right now they're making $0 a day. We don't know if they had the terrorism endorsement or not, but let's say that they did not, and they make a claim with their insurance company. Is there any way the insurance is going to pay out?
Unfortunately, probably not, because it was defined as an act of terror, and that goes beyond them to the businesses that are beside them. If they don't have it, then they don't have loss of business income either, because the terrorism is the cause of the loss.
This is Ray Powers from I Know We Insurance, www.iknowwe.com, 855-I-KNOW-WE, offering a free review of all of your business owner policies right now. If you call them, 855-I-KNOW-WE. We're talking about terrorism insurance.
Okay.
We're talking about terrorism insurance, which I've never really heard of. I've never heard of it, but my mind was racing when I realized this company doesn't exist anymore. Pulse Nightclub making no money, but they probably still have expenses that they're paying out, but there's no money coming in. I know they have insurance, but does the insurance cover it? And the answer, guys, is no. Unless you have terrorism insurance or a terrorism endorsement on that business owner policy, it's not going to pay out. That's why I want you to call Ray Powers right now, 855-I-KNOW-WE, to make sure you have this terrorism coverage, but also, maybe even more importantly, let's review all of your policies to make sure you're not overpaying, because 90% of business owners are overpaying for insurance. By overpaying, I mean if they shop it around, they can get a better deal and pay less money yearly if you just shop it around. 855-I-KNOW-WE, that is Ray Powers from I Know We Insurance. Justin Clark here with you, as I am every Friday. If you have any legal questions, give us a call. 321-282-1055. I do have attorneys at the law firm right now at 321-282-1055. The website is www.youhavepower.com. That is YOUHave